Hi, I'm Lisa Johnson. I am your student social studies teacher this year, and I have recorded this video so many times at this point, and I keep stopping and starting over to make it better. So I hope this will be the one for you. I'm disappointed that we're missing out on curriculum night this year, real life in-person curriculum night, because not only is it such a pleasure to meet the adults who are so important in the lives of the students we both care about, but it is such a joy to get to share my enthusiasm with you. Um, this is my dream job. Teaching your students is my dream job, and it's because of these kids who are so much fun and so rewarding to work with. This is my 7th year teaching at IMS, my 8th year here because I did my student teaching here too, and certainly a very different year, but one I am just as excited for as I am any other. Every curriculum night, I say my keyword for the year is growth. And every curriculum night, I mean it, and I think, well, maybe next year I'll change it. Maybe every year we'll have a different word. But every year I come back to it, and growth is still the right word. It's what's so exciting about school to begin with, but also about 7th grade in particular. In 7th grade, your students come into themselves so much. And it's fun to see their growth as individuals and their growth in terms of their awareness of the world around them and their growth in their management of human relationships and their own studies, and not to mention their knowledge of content area. So growth it is, and I think this will be a year of a lot of growth as we deal with a really unique set of circumstances. I'm Lisa Johnson. Like I said, I'm putting this picture of a pizza here to help you so that you don't call me Litza all year. I'm saving you and me from that. I ask the students to call me Ms. Johnson, that's Ms. with a Z. If I spell it with an S, then I get either Mrs. or Miss, and Ms. is important to me. And then my email address is right here. This is really the best way, and right now pretty much the only way of contacting me, short of a Zoom bomb, which I don't recommend. I do respond pretty quickly to email, often in just a couple of hours, but I ask you for the grace to respond within 24 school day hours. So if you send me a message on Monday morning, you'll get a response by Tuesday morning. If you send me a message by Friday evening, you'll get a response by Monday evening at the latest. If it is longer than that and you haven't heard from me, please feel free to send a follow-up message. I'm not deliberately ignoring you. Something strange has happened. So I will do my best to get back to you quickly. I also have, oh, my face is covering this. I also have phone and Zoom appointments I'm happy to do with you if that is easier for you. So just let me know what works best. So it is notable to me that in 7th grade, our students, well, and in 6th and 8th too, for that matter, our students study social studies, not history. History is a part of social studies, but it's not the whole thing. As the title implies, social studies is the study of a lot of different elements of human behavior. It's social studies skills, of course, like researching and writing, inquiry, discussion, all of these really great and important and super fun skills. But it's also history and economics and civics and geography. Ultimately, it's about people, right? It's the study of people through time. And so we study the dates and we study the people and we study the events and we study the conflicts because we want to know what happened and notably what is happening, right? We want to know that. It's important. But that's not really the ultimate goal because, of course, there's not going to come a time in your student's life when they're, rising up the corporate ladder and they're up for a promotion and somebody says, quickly, name the first territorial governor of Washington. And if they get it right, they get the advancement. If they don't, they're fired. That doesn't happen. That's not why we study social studies. We study it because of the type of thinking it is and what it helps us understand about people. So the what happened matters, but the so what is way more important and extremely interesting and rewarding to uncover. So the so what is about, what do these events and these people and these dates and so on, what do they tell us about the society that was developing, and for that matter, the society we live in now? What connections can we make between disparate groups and disparate ideas and seemingly disparate events? Are they really all so separated? Maybe, but probably not. When we look at conflicts, it's interesting to see the timeline of what happened, but it's even more interesting to say, well, why though? Why did these things happen? Why did the people make these choices? Why did it reach this particular resolution, if any resolution at all? How was it resolved, if ever? And what does that tell us about other conflicts? Ultimately, social studies is all about human behavior. What do people want? What are they willing to do to get it? What happens if they don't? It's a really interesting journey. So what are we studying? When it comes to the what happened and the so what is it exactly that we're studying? Well, this is the part where I have a metaphor that I came up with that I think is so important. So, bear with me on this one. This, as you can see, is a river. And the river is made up of the skills that your student has been working on really since they were born, right? The thinking skills. And while they look very different in 12 and 13-year-olds than they looked in infants, the thinking skills are all part of this river, right? And how we get along these skills, how we explore these particular skills, how we develop these skills, that's this little boat, and the boat is the content, the social studies content. So our skills, the skills along this river, are critical thinking, using evidence to support arguments. So look forward to that one at home. They get to be much better arguers this year. Analyzing arguments. So look forward to that one too, because they're looking for clear claims, good supporting evidence, actual facts, not just emotional testimony, which is important too, but is different, right? So analyzing all of those pieces. Making connections between historical and modern events and between different historical events. These are the connections I was talking about earlier. Effectively and respectfully discussing ideas with peers. This is an election year, so we're going to have a lot of opportunity to practice what it means to have an effective and respectful discussion. I tell students we're not always going to all agree, and in fact, I really hope that we don't all agree all the time, because that's a very boring conversation to have. We don't learn anything from each other, or we don't learn as much as we do when we disagree. So having really good conversations is also about having really good disagreements. The skills are also about drawing thoughtful, reasonable inferences and conclusions. So looking at the evidence and using that to draw conclusions, not starting with your conclusion and then trying to make the evidence fit it. Asking meaningful questions, and maybe this should be at the top of the list, maybe this should be bold and sparkly, because this is one of the most important elements. If you can ask good questions, you can get good answers. And then finding and using reliable information. If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me that they had learned something on Snapchat, I'd have a few dollars at least. And Snapchat, of course, is mostly not a very reliable source, but there are excellent sources out there. So making sure that the places they're going for information are good places. So then, what's the sort of historical social studies content that they're going to be using as they explore this river of skills? Well, Washington State Geography, that's where we're starting. As I'm recording this video, we are launching into that unit. And that's really helpful to know where they are in the world. Native American sovereignty, the idea of a nation within a nation, is really important. Washington state government. See, like I said, you get to have those really good conversations. The fur trade. Inclusion, exclusion, and cultural identity. So this is a big unit that's all about who's coming to the Pacific Northwest, who is welcome, who's not, who stays, who doesn't, and what happens because all of that. The progressive era. So as you probably know, this is where the government starts getting involved and saying, oh, well, maybe we should have some regulations. And Japanese incarceration. So it's a lot. It's a lot to cover. It's a lot to discuss, and it's really exciting to share with your students. So I do not have time in this recording to go through all the different elements that I want to share with you about grading and instructional practices and so on. But I took a poll among my students, and I was told that really I should have a Bitmoji. So I have joined the ranks of those who have created Bitmoji classrooms, and I will post this so that it is shared with you and you can explore it at your leisure. You can learn about grading practices. You can go back to this linked video to hear me speak again about the curriculum. You'll know about the materials on Schoology and instructional and engagement practices and various other tidbits that are around the room for you to enjoy. So I have certainly enjoyed getting to share this with you. I am disappointed that we don't get to do it in person, but I'm hoping that there will come a time in the not too distant future where I will get to see all of you safely and healthily in I keep wanting to say real life, but it's all real life, isn't it? But in the in-person world. So please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.